All right, it's Sunday morning. I'm gonna try and get through one story in 2 poems, but I need my props. So I think one story might not make any. Well, I'm starting to. I was talking to my friend. We were actually texting my friend Cabell last Saturday or Sunday, and she was telling me how she just really enjoyed the videos and hopes I keep doing them. And I said, I want to, but I just gotta stop crying and bawling and losing my shit like a little girl every time I read something. Go on, Clovis. Go on. And she said, well, I think it's therapeutic for you. And it is. But the funny thing is as I've been going back through and reading all this stuff, I'm kind of learning more about myself, because I wrote the shit to vent, and then I buried it, and going back now, I don't know, it's just kind of interesting. So if I have time, I'm going to tell you this story about a blanket, which all this shit's starting to come back to me now. We had this, I guess it was when Jimmy Carter was president. I think the economy was shit, and everybody's trying to save heat or oil or something. And I was young, but I kind of got the sense that we weren't poor, but we weren't well off. And my dad, he hung this. It was a brown curtain. And he hung this brown curtain over our hallway, and he got these gas logs. Man, they used gas because the builder was a dick and almost burned our house down. So we got these gas logs, and we would heat the family room in the kitchen. We'd have the oven open, electric oven heating the kitchen, and the gas logs heating the family room. And we lived in those two rooms. And it was all about, you got your blankets and you bundled up, and that's how we got through the 70s, I guess. Hell, I may as well just read that story now that I'm talking about it. So, ever since I can remember, I had this blanket. And first it hung on my wall in my bedroom. I loved it. Thought it was really cool. Reminded me of Indians. And the story goes, if I tell the story right, my dad got that blanket from a friend of his, or a college roommate or something. I think it was at his wedding. Handmade blanket from wherever. I think it was Africa. Dad gets the blanket. This buddy of his goes to Africa and gets eaten by a lion. Imagine that. But I always loved the blanket. And the blanket, it just up and disappeared one day. I think my parents wanted to protect it or something, and put it in a moth-proof bag, and it ended up in a box in the attic. I don't know. But I didn't know it at the time, but I guess I just had this subliminal need. I needed a blanket. So I went out and I bought this blanket, an old military blanket. That's been my blanket since I was 17 or something. And I was dating this girl. We had this, I mean, it was a hot, heavy, frantic, whirlwind romance. Lasted 8 months. We were talking about getting married. She had a kid, I had a kid. I was the right man for her, but she was not the right woman for me by any stretch of the imagination. Something happened. I don't know. She liked to lay around the house all damn day and do nothing. Kid. I said something like that. Let's get the hell out of here and go do something. And the boys in their room rotting. So she didn't like that. She wanted nobody talking about her boy or whatever. So that was it. She dropped me like a bad habit. And I am such a... Now this other fucking memory comes up. I was so stupid. I mean, I was hurt. She dropped me. I mean, I thought we were getting married. I thought we were in love and all this shit. And I said one thing about her kid, and that was it. Done. Finito. See you later. Don't ever fucking call me again. I didn't understand it, but I was really hurt. And this was not part of what I was going to tell y'all, but it just popped in my head, so I'm going to tell you. So we go to this. We met at this place called Visions, like a geriatric dance hall. All these old people in there, a few young people scattered around. Anyway, that was a stupid time in my life too. But so I know when she drops me, she's gonna go back to Visions, pick up some other guy. I go back to Visions. Sure as shit, she's out there dancing around. She sees me looking at her, and she grabs the first guy she could find. I mean, first person she could find, arms like this, and just smacked a kiss right on it. Some fucking stranger. And she danced with that guy the whole night, and she left with that guy. That bitch, God, what a slut. So that got under my skin. I said something. I called her or something. I said, what are you doing? I mean, you don't have to do that. And she's like, oh, Bob's a great guy. You know. I'm like, how do you know? You just grabbed him and kissed him and went over and slept with him. And she's like, well, how do you know I slept with him? I said, well. She's like, well, Bob would give you the shirt off his back. I'm like, okay, great. Hung the phone up. And I got to thinking about all I did for that girl, where I thought we were going. And I lost my cool again. And she worked at a bank. I can't believe I'm telling this story. She worked at a bank. I was going to get my ounce of flesh, or whatever you want to call it. So I went to a drugstore. And I bought a box of condoms. And I bought a great big tube of KY jelly. Stuck it. Oh my God, what a time. Stuck it in a brown paper bag. Drove up to the drive-through window of this bank. And this girl comes up. And I said, hey, is Mary Sue working? She said, yeah. I said, well, do me a favor. And I bent over and pulled my shirt off my back. Threw it in this brown paper bag. And gave it to the girl. Y'all be quiet. Hey! Be quiet. Are you done? Gave it to the bank teller. and told her, tell Mary Sue that here's the shirt off my back. This woman, she's got this wrinkled up brown paper bag with some stinky, sweaty shirt in it. I drive off. I'm like, yeah, fuck you, bitch. You're going to be embarrassed. I don't know, that day or the next day, I don't know. My sister calls me. I need to talk to you. I'm like, what? I love my sister, but we don't talk. I mean, we don't talk on the phone often. We don't talk much. We don't start a relationship, I guess. I guess I'm just a dick. But she calls me. She says, we need to talk. And this is fucking serious. So I talk to her. This girl at the teller window, she apparently thought I handed her a bag with a bomb in it. And then, I mean, I must have left there. They called the cops and all this, whatever the hell happens. All these people, bomb squad and shit comes. And they open that fucking bag up and it's KY chili in a bag, a box of condoms. Oh my God. And that girl was pissed. She told Rebecca, don't ever contact her, or call her, or anything. Wrote me a certified letter telling me if I ever did anything that I caused her fear, she was gonna put a restraining order on me. I don't know what the hell she did. Her loss, stupid bitch. But where was I going with all this? Oh, the blankets. So, while we're separated and I'm depressed and trying to figure out a way to get her back, I write her this. I guess it's a poem or a story. I don't know what the hell it is, but I'll read it to you. Basically another way of telling her she was stupid for getting rid of me. But whatever this is, story or poem, it's called Wool. I hope this doesn't make me cry. Wool. I had an old blanket once. It was not purchased, but received as a gift. I recall bathing my soul in oceans of wool, protected from the cold and the birds, which pricked me as I slept. I reveled in the tried wisdom of its weave, though not fashioned by hand, a good blanket nonetheless. Yet it soon became a bother. At spring's wane, it was no longer needed, often seeming too close, itching my withers and rashing my neck. It troubled my summer slumber, so I set it aside. One late summer day, a towering fog eclipsed the sky, and as the sleeping summer blue fell under the shadow, dusk brought this darkening billow of winter to rest on my shoulders. I reached for my blanket, but withdrew only a burr which pierced my hand. That which I shelved for later use was no longer there, and in its hollow grew bristly regret. How I longed for its sheltering, engulfing arms. As my blood drips, cold teeth chatter, and my neck turns itchy and red. Dumb bitch. Then I remember this one. Put that in front of the camera, dummy. This one's called Linger. Linger. I smell you on my pillow, aromas sweet in love and sweat, from midnight treats I'll not forget. Of dueling tongues and grasping hair, but alas, is only vapor there. On a cotton sack clenched by barren hands, in this vacant place where our love began. And now fades away on a rising mist, passing falling tears and lips unkissed. That was a shitty time in my life too. I didn't cry though. Anyway, so I'm telling Cavill I gotta stop crying and shit. So I went to go get my mother a story for her Sunday read. So I gotta get a story that won't make me cry. And I saw this one. I didn't read it first, so I don't know if it's gonna make me cry or not. But I just remember it was a mad story. I was pissed off. I can't remember what I was pissed off about, but I was pissed, and I started writing it. So this story is called Smart Dolphins. A few nights ago, I got together with a couple of friends to watch the fights. We were all there a couple hours early, and in no time we were sitting around the table talking about life and politics. One of my friends is burdened with the job of managing hundreds of employees and was currently taking a training course which involved intrinsic motivation. The discussion brought about, excuse me, I had to cover that up if my mom would have said something to me. The discussion brought about many valid points and theories, but in the end it was concluded that the world's going to hell in a handbasket, and it seems we are powerless to stop it. Put your glasses on. The idea of intrinsic motivation has been eating at me ever since. I don't feel my theory on the subject was articulated properly the other night, so I'm prompted to put my ideas on paper. So take the ringer off your cell phone, give this paper a read, and see what you think. Maybe when you're done, you'll throw your cell phone away. Webster's defines intrinsic as belonging to essential nature or constitution of a thing. That's pretty cut and dry, but at the same time kind of ambiguous. History and science tell us that hundreds of millions of years ago, a fish was swimming around in an ocean, ran into a beach, sprouted legs, and walked up on land. Thus the theory of evolution, or intelligent design. Fish intrinsically swim, breathe water, and blow bubbles. It's their nature. So what in God's green earth made it sprout legs, breathe air, and walk, thereby creating another creature with another intrinsic motivation? This is where the idea of environmental changes come into play, and is supposedly at odds or in harmony with the idea of intrinsic. If you want to motivate a small group of people or an entire nation to behave in a certain manner, you need only to change their environment. It behooves you to do so in a manner that caters to their intrinsic nature. So they are intrinsically motivated. But therein lies the problem. One fish sprouts legs, crawls under a rock, and turns into a lizard. One fish crawls up on the rock, complains about his feet hurting, sprouts wings and turns into a bird. Yet another fish crawls out, sees this bird flying around, climbs a tree to reach him, and turns into a monkey. The smartest fish of all turns around at the sight of all this jumps back into the ocean, and becomes a dolphin. Smart fish. And mammal. My point is this: you can't create a single environment that will intrinsically motivate a lizard, a monkey, a bird, or a fish. Just like you can't create an environment that caters to an entire nation that is so culturally and ethically diverse. The best you can hope to do is find some common ground and create an environment that embraces diversity, but stems the flow of the evolution that divides us. Almost a reverse evolution, if you will. This is not an easy task, nor will it be a quick fix, because to intrinsically motivate a group for the good of the whole, you'll be reprogramming multi-generational intrinsic nature for the good of the individual. Let me put that another way. I have come to believe that the intrinsic nature of a group or an individual is not only purely dictated by the current environment, but possibly to a greater degree by multi-generational genetics and DNA. Remember, one fish got back in the ocean, and with the exception of being killed by humans, distant cousins of the monkey, for canned tuna, he's doing fine. Take racism, for instance. Thriving and doing well. Isn't it possible that there's a gene that makes some whites think they're superior to other races because for thousands of years and generations they've abused and enslaved them? Isn't it possible that some blacks are still angry and racist toward whites because they have a genetic memory of the abuse and enslavement? Couldn't these memories on both sides further nurture the sublime environment that fuels racism? If you take a white child it's kind of the story of Tim, I think. If you take a white child and put him into carrying Tim wasn't raised by a black family, but he had a black family. Anyway, if you take a white child, put him in the care of a loving black family, most likely he will outwardly be non-racist. But what if that gene is still there? What if it manifests itself in a different way? What happened at Virginia Tech? A crack-addicted mother makes her baby an addict in 9 months. Why not racism? How about rappers and rednecks? Is rap a musical art form? Yeah, maybe. Is it an outlet for frustration, anger, and violence? Perhaps. Should it be supported and embraced as cultural diversity? I guess so. But are we doing more damage than good? If you pull your pants down around your knees, steal the music from an established song, redub your own lyrics about slapping your bitch, slinging drugs, or killing people, all with a minimum quota of 6 four-letter words per sentence, who is this helping? Rednecks are no better. Well-deserved or not, Southern boy rednecks go hand in hand with rappers, just with a different fashion statement. If you're under the age of, say, 120 years, and you have a rebel flag tattooed on your arm, or one hanging in the back of your pickup, what's that really about? Maybe you're the son of a Confederate soldier. Maybe you're a history buff Maybe you think the war is still going on, and you might be right. Fine, I get it, and I'll support this cultural difference. But if you adorn that flag as a warning, or because you want to fit in at the Hank Williams Jr. concert, or because you just need help remembering where you're from after 14 beers, let me help you out, because I think you missed an important history lesson when you skipped school to go to that concert. You're from the United States of America. Act like it. Damn it. So are these behaviors intrinsically motivated because it's the nature of the culture, or because of generational DNA and genetics? I believe it's both. I believe there are people genetically predisposed to like, dislike, accept. Would you shut up? Damn. Genetically predisposed to like, dislike, accept, and deny certain things. With that being a given, they are intrinsically motivated to act on these genetics. It is here where environment plays a role in the positive and negative outcome of actions, and consequently the seeding and progression of such behavior. Alcoholism runs in families. If a fourth generation alcoholic has a child, that child is likely to be afflicted with the same disease or carry that gene to the next generation. But I believe that if that father created an environment before conception, and instead of picking up a bottle, played a violin, that he is ever so slightly deteriorating that alcoholic gene that he passes to his offspring. That child may be intrinsically motivated to drink, but if he plays piano instead of beer pong, he will deteriorate that gene even further. It may take 10 generations, but eventually the intrinsic motivation to drink will be overpowered by the intrinsic motivation to play music. If you take two deer hunters and compare their yearly average harvest to determine who the best hunter is, you may conclude that Hunter A was better than Hunter B because A killed 15 deer and B only killed 2. What if I told you B used a stick bow with a stone-tipped arrow and A sat at a computer with a robotic gun over a pile of corn? Would you change your mind? No? Cut off the power. How about now? If they are both intrinsically motivated to hunt, what makes B use a stick and A use a computer? To me, the answer... Oh, fuck. To me, the answer is a genetic deterioration of society and our indentured servitude to the dollar. A malignant, cancerous gene that eats away at the real intrinsic nature of our being and replaces it with copulating ignorance and laziness. How many misspelled words are in this essay? Who cares? Scan it into a computer and spell check will fix it. Why worry about spell check when we text our every thought in some new abbreviated language? Why are we slaves to phone companies and computers? As I sit here writing, I'm surrounded by an office phone, a home phone, a cell phone, yet I am far less connected to my friends and family. Speaking of writing, who writes anymore? An art form of communication that is all but extinct. You can tell far more about a person and what he believes over what he has written by simply looking at his handwriting. Does the text of this essay look frustrated and angry, or relaxed and gleeful? How about the Declaration of Independence? Can you tell something about the men who wrote and signed it by their penmanship? Print it off on a computer and then try to describe the men who wrote it. Can you imagine texting Great Britain texting Great Britain to declare our independence? If we email and text and cell phone our way through life without ever having to interact with each other, how are we supposed to bridge the cultural, racial, and ethnic differences to find the intrinsic motivation in us that is not affected by this cancer societal show? As individuals, we must swallow a bitter pill to cure our society as a whole. To cure this cancer, you must call through what we think motivates us and makes us happy, and take personal responsibility for what will motivate us and make our future generations happy. There's all this shit flooding back to me now. Fuck. If you haven't guessed already, I can't even read an angry story about a crime. If you haven't guessed already, I'm Hunter B. In my life, I am intrinsically motivated to hunt and kill the cancers that try to infect me. Oh, I am intrinsically motivated to hunt and kill the cancers that try to infect me. I do not accept the idea that poor behavior will catapult you to rock star status like Snooki or the Kardashians. Nor will I support the elevation to superhero status of fabricated leaders of ignorance. The only texting I'll do is on pen and paper. That's a lie. And I'll never be a slave to a cell phone. I work hard when I'm supposed to, and I'll play harder when I'm done. My motivation is my own. God damn it. My motivation is my own, and success is my responsibility, no one else's. I change my environment in a manner conducive to these goals, and in doing so, I automatically change that of all who enter it. Slowly, I replace the sick genetics of future generations, killing the cancer. Three guys come together to watch the fights on TV. They end up bonding, talking, face to face for hours. Without the aid of cell phones or computers. They talk about family and life, friends and foes, and how and what motivates us to do and be what we are. In the end, they solve nothing, but vow to try again on another day. as they shook hands and said goodbye. Ah, that firm grip seemed only to be a gesture of friendship. In reality, they had no idea it was a medicinal bond. It was a medicinal bond that may heal future generations for the better. Somewhere between fish and monkey and man, there lies a happy medium. If you're stuck between man and computer, all is not lost, but the end is near. Stop and ask yourself, what intrinsically motivates you? It's a tough question. You can't find the answer on Google. Don't ask that talking know-it-all iPhone. Don't text a friend. The answer may be you've asked the wrong question. Maybe the question is, what intrinsically demotivates you? Cut all that shit off and think about it. Then let's get together and talk. Otherwise, all that may be left is a bunch of cell phones and a few smart fish. Alright, Cavill, I didn't make it through that one either. I mean, shit was coming back to me and why I wrote this. Oh, damn. I gotta take my wife to lunch. Apparently I was being an asshole last night.